Wait a minute. Oh, that's close.
All right, did you look at those quizzes? You can think about retaking. Those are both quizzes are on this fourth 9 week. Remember, the fourth 9 weeks you must pass. The fourth 9 weeks of the exam. The double F rules in your book, make sure you know that. I like you all a lot, but I don't want to see you next year in here. Okay, so make sure you're taking care of business. There's no reason not to, with everybody be available to retake whatever you want. Listen, the longer you wait, the worse it gets, so keep waiting, you're not gonna get there.
Do things get harder or worse from here? I mean, harder again.
Well, after this section, we're gonna go into trigonometry, so you
So,
like that, or not. I personally think the hard stuff's over. This little section 8.8, put a little work into it, it's all we're gonna do this week, one section, okay, we'll do it today, tomorrow. Little practice action, little practice quiz, we'll review Thursday, quiz on Friday. Easy quiz to hang your hat on and get some points, okay? Or review what you have. As you look over those quizzes, you don't understand something, I'll help you out and get you on track, so. All right, hopefully everybody had an enjoyable break. I was in Georgia my whole time. I was at Tabby Island, Georgia, and also Jekyll Island, Georgia. So, it wasn't like overly warm, but a little better than here on a couple of days, I'm sure. So someone sent me a picture of snow coming down when I was laying
it
on the
was
beach.
75 one day and the next day started snowing.
Well, that's Northeast Ohio in April, so that's just expect that. So. All right, this is, we're gonna solve radical equations. What's that look like? Well, it has a radical in it. X plus 2 equals 10. That's what a radical equation is gonna look like. Sometimes might have a number out here, okay? And we're gonna wanna get that number on the other side by subtracting it or isolating. Okay, so we'll talk about that. There are a couple of steps here. So your typical radical equation might look something like that right there. These aren't that hard to solve for. Again, it's something that you could probably make some good hay on and get your grade up, okay? All right, we have a couple of steps. Step 1 is that you're gonna isolate the radical. So we gotta get it by itself, whether it's a cube root or a square root. So that's what that first example was. I had 5 plus x minus 2 equals 10. So the first step is to isolate. So we got that 5 hanging outside the radical. We want to get that radical, nothing else on the side except for the radical. Okay, and if we manage to do that, then we can move on. So in this case, we have to subtract 5 from each side. And we'd be left with x minus 2 under the radical and just 5 here. Hence, that would complete step 1. We get the radical by itself. Does that make sense, everybody? Step 1. Step 2 then, we're going to raise both sides to the power or whatever the index is. So there's nothing written here, so that's a square root or square. So we're going to square both sides, which would leave us with x minus 2 equaling 25. That's kind of cool. We can square both sides, we get rid of that radical then, don't we? Okay. So that can also be a cube. If it's a cube, we cube both sides. So we can either going to be squaring both sides or cubing depending on what's going on. Step 3, just like everything else we've done all year, simplify and solve. So then we would plus 2 on this side, plus 2, and we'd get x equaling 27, and that would be it. That'd be your answer. So a pretty basic 3 steps. We've had stuff 15 times harder than this year. Again, a little section that you can do pretty well on and make something happen. Anybody else want any of these quizzes? Anybody else want any of these quizzes? I'll save them I'll put them up in the recycle. If you're still interested, you can grab them later. All righty, let's get on it. Here we go. I'll walk you through this first one, and then we'll try to do about 3 or 4 more on our own a little bit. What do we wanna do first? Step 1, isolate. Okay, so that 5's hanging out there, so let's get into the other side. We still have the square root of x plus 1, but now we're only equal to what over here? 11. Still in good shape, my friends? So there's step 1. We're done with step 1. What's step 2 say to do?
Square.
Yeah, whatever the index. Well, there's a square root, so we're gonna square both sides. What's so good about squaring a square root? Whatever's in there is what it is. No math to be done there. 11 times 11 is? 21. Step 2 is done. Moving on to step 3. We have x plus 1 equals 121. Step 3. What are we gonna do now? Subtract 1. X is equal to 120. Little lemon squeeze there, would you agree? Nothing really hard at all. Want a bunch of those? Yeah, 100 points each. Kind of about 100 points each. That'd be nice. You pay for that haircut?
My mom did.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you like that. All right, see what you can do then, bud. Really gonna pay for his the other couple months ago.
Yeah, I've never been talking about haircuts.
All right, is it isolated? Yeah.
It did kind of look like it.
Step 2, what are we gonna do?
Square.
Square both sides.
Except for he cut my bangs right dude about the long. Funny.
All right, square both sides.
81.
We're gonna have x minus 12 equals 81. Logan knows what 9 times 9 is. That's awesome. Now what?
Subtract 12. I mean, add 12.
Add 12. X is what?
93.
That's it, folks. That's the simple ones. You ready for something a little trickier? Don't always in math. We always can make them trickier, especially we can make them trickier, especially if you're talking away and not paying much attention up here. But it's okay.
It's like x minus 5 plus c equals 48 or something.
All right, what's up with this one? It's not a square, it's a cube. So instead of, is it isolated already?
Yes.
Yeah, so now cube both sides and roll that for a second. Give you about 34 seconds to complete that because that's all you're gonna need.
No, the 3.
Give it to Peter.
What was yours 13?
Little jump.
8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 34. 34 times 2 is
16 times 2 is 32.
That's what I meant. 32 times 2 is 64. 64 times 2 is 118.
180.
100 something, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, there's some first time.
And at the end of the day,
Good thing it's a cube.
hey, wait, you see that? You see that?
Like you see right
The
here.
clock.
You see that?
So it's supposed to be 18.
Talking about the clock.
Like that's.
All right, cube in both sides. And mark cube in both sides. We're gonna get -2 over here. We're getting 8 over here. I haven't had anything to eat yet today. Had some shrimp down on Jekyll Island. That's pretty good though. Yep. Had me a little country boy. Ever had one of those little country boys? Put corn on the cob in there and they put different things in there and you put a little bit of spice in on, a little Old Bay spice on there. Anyways, we will obviously +2. And we're down to x is 10. Everybody good? So there was a square and there was a cube, all right? Logan, shut up for a while. Okay, we can always throw you a curveball, right?
Oh.
So what's up with this one?
You just do the same thing.
Well, we got radicals on both sides, all right? So we can go ahead and just square both sides. So see what you can do, think about it. Write it down, square both sides. See how far you can get. I'll pull it down here in about 15 seconds to show you your first step. See if you can get the first step by squaring both sides. See what you can get, and then stop there because you might not get it right. You should be able to get the one side pretty easy. What's square? We have the square root of this square. What's that going to be? Just that, right?
Yeah.
Now this guy, we're going to have to square this guy. So it becomes 9 quantity 3x minus 2. Gotta have them brackets there because that 9 is outside of that square root thing. Okay, now what do we gotta do with that 9? Distribute and solve. That's some simple algebra that everybody in this room should be able to handle. So you take that 9 over, 27, x minus 18, get your x's on one side, get your numbers on the other, and you should roll with x equals 1 as you get down through there. Again, a little different, just because we have square roots on both sides, but a manageable problem. Would you all agree?
I was gonna get upward.
Again, this isn't
Did you say
trying to make this overly hard. Does everybody feel comfortable?
Yes. Did you watch the Gonzaga game?
I don't watch anything, no.
Really? Good game.
Shit, I don't want to be silent.
Oh, I asked you this.
I don't really care about that shit. Oops, sorry.
He's really definitely recording this one today.
I am recording this. Excuse me, I said shoot. All right. What do you think? You don't need to do this one, just look. What am I gonna have here? 9x, right? Everybody in the room can solve for that, take the 8 over, what, take the 8, you subtract 8. X ends up being 6, no problem, right? All right, let's get to a little tougher one. Not any tougher here, don't do this one, just look at it, okay? What do we gotta do instead of squaring, okay, so I'm gonna end up with x plus 6 equals 8, right? 2 to the third. Make sure, okay, I know you got that bracket, and what do you gotta do with this 8 then? Okay, is everybody clear there? Questions at all? All right, here comes the first one that's a little bit harder, and that's this guy right here. All right, step 1, is it isolated? Yeah, it's all by itself. Now, here's where things get a little bit different on this one, because we have to square this binomial. Okay? When we square binomials, you should be thinking what? Foiling. 5 minus x times 5 minus x. Of course, this left side is pretty easy. It's going to be minus 3x plus 33. Now we got a FOIL. What's 5 times 5 up here?
25.
Okay. 5 times negative 5x. Another negative 5x. And finally plus x squared. Putting that in standard form on this side, x squared minus 10x plus 25. So what makes this one different than the previous one? We have the FOIL on that side because we have a number and a letter. We have a binomial, okay, and that can make them a little bit different, a little bit harder. All right, now we're still gonna solve, take the take the 3x over, take the 33 over. Then you have to do what? Once you get that x squared, you gotta do what? Factor, factor, factor. The joys of math, the joys of algebra too, for the rest of your life, you'll know somewhat, possibly, how to factor.
X minus 5, X minus 5.
All right, so we will do a little math now. Let's plus 3x.
Oh, never mind.
Let's minus 33. And now we are down to x squared minus 7x minus 8. All right, factors of 8 with a difference of 7. One's going to be minus, one's going to be plus. We're going to have minus 8 here. And that's plus 1 here. We're still setting these equal to 0. So we're all but solving now. Solving here, my x is positive 8, and the other x is maybe 1. So we can get to the point where we have to do a little bit more work on solving. All that solving part is stuff we've done already. Anybody concerned? Any questions? Last one for today. Here we go. Last one for today. What are we gonna have to do on that one side?
Oil.
You got a FOIL, and then you're gonna have to factor to get to solve. Left side up here is pretty easy, isn't it? It's gonna be 2x plus 14. After we FOIL this right side, x squared plus 6x plus 9, okay? X plus 3. Yeah, you gotta add them. Okay, so this is gonna be x plus 3 times x plus 3. You're gonna get x squared. You're gonna get plus 3x, another plus 3x, and plus 9. So those middle terms will give you that 6. Everybody see that? All right, now we're ready to solve. Minus 2x. Minus 14. I'm end up with x squared plus 4x minus 5. See if you can get a factor in there. We got a plus minus, so we're gonna have difference. We're gonna have an x minus and an x plus. Factors of 5, difference of 4. The only possibilities here are 5 and 1. So, and hopefully you realize 5 needs to be with the positive. Okay. Still setting those equal to 0. So my x is negative 5 and positive 1. Not that hard, is it? Friday quiz over this. We'll do a little bit more tomorrow. Practice quiz. Should be an easy week. Make some points. Those of you missing, I'm gonna go back and look and holler at you. Those of you who decided to go on spring break a little early, miss the quiz. You need to get working on that. All right, just a couple problems, 2 through 7, nothing killer.
You baby.
Couple little guys there, knock it out, submit, everybody got it. Thank you very much.
Do you have a class, 7th period?
Yeah, I do. You still can.
I'm gonna retake the 185.
That's fine.
You were taking a 7th period during this?
Yeah.
Alright, take mine.